Conscious Leadership Podcast, the human side of leadership, where consciousness meets practical business leadership. The podcast dives into real challenges managers face, from team motivation to navigating change. Discover actionable insight, proven strategies, and inspiring stories to help you lead with clarity, authenticity, and impact. Whether you are an SME owner, a team leader, or simply passionate about conscious leadership, this podcast will equip you with the tools to build stronger teams, foster trust, and achieve sustainable success. Tune in, lead consciously, and make a difference. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Boris Nedved. Today, I want to begin with the bold premise. The very foundation of executive leadership is being redefined, and not in incremental ways. What do I mean with that? In the introduction to the Michael Page report, Talent Trends 2025 Executive and Senior Leadership Edition, the headline reads, "Why clarity is a key competence in attracting and retaining top executive talent." It goes on to stress that executives are no longer lured by compensation packages alone. They seek alignment, values, culture, vision. They want clarity. They want to understand their role in a rapidly shifting world. They want transparent communication about pay structures and development opportunities. What an interesting and telling start to a Leadership Trends report. Today I don't want to simply reflect on its findings. I want to dissect it, reinterpret it, and use it to hold a mirror up to the structural decay of today's leadership paradigms. Because here's the unfiltered truth, at least for me. The system isn't just trained, it's expired. What we face isn't a crisis of talent, it's a crisis of truth. Executives are not quitting because they are ungrateful, overworked, or disengaged. They are leaving because they are waking up. And they are realizing that the roles they were asked to perform no longer align with who they are becoming. They crave resonance over performance, clarity over compliance, and meaning over metrics. Let's lay it bare. 43% of the executives are actively exploring change. 43%, almost half, isn't it? Only 1 in 10 say that they are not open to new opportunities. The main drivers: compensation misalignment, toxic culture, blurred leadership, lack of trust, and no clarity on growth. And these aren't junior employees bouncing around. These are seasoned leaders opting out of the very structures they once upheld. These departures from the current organizational settings should prompt introspection across the board. What has changed in organizational fabric that makes leadership roles undesirable? The question is not why are they leaving. The real question is, why should they stay? These leaders are no longer simply reacting to poor conditions. They are proactively rejecting a paradigm that has become incompatible with their personal integrity, energetic alignment, and future relevance. Their departures are not isolated acts of frustration. They are a collective broadcast signal, one that warns of systemic misalignment between leadership potential and organizational reality. In other words, we are not witnessing attrition, we are witnessing evolution. The choice many executives are making is no longer, how do I climb higher in this structure? Instead, it's, do I belong in this structure at all? We keep teaching people how to lead through workshops, upskilling sprints, and feedback loops. But no one is asking, who are they becoming? We've created an image-based leadership culture. Dress like this, talk like this, manage like this. It's not development, it's social camouflage. This echoes several of my podcast episodes. Episode 22, the Authenticity Trap, where we explored how modern leadership often rewards polished performance over true presence. Episode 19, Gen Z and Alpha don't want your leadership role. Younger generations aren't rejecting leadership because they are lazy. They are rejecting a broken identity model. In the Michael Page Executive Report, 42% say culture is essential. 38% want values and purpose. 36% focus on the quality of the leadership team. 31% want recognition. 30% demand trust. The consistent demand for intangibles, culture, purpose, trust, signals a profound shift away from hierarchical obedience to meaning-centered engagement. These aren't benefits. These are essential leadership signals. Miss them and you lose your top layers. This also echoes the essence from my episode 18, Why Work-Life Balance is a Lie, and my post on the resilience myth. People aren't burned out because they are weak. They are burned out because they have been trained to perform instead of aligning. They are waking up. Yet most systems still trap them in rigid frameworks. And those frameworks ignore the energetic truth we now understand through quantum physics. Everything is energy. Without recognizing the energetic blueprint of an individual, no leadership development effort can be transformational. We don't need more leadership skills. We need energetic recalibration. Development isn't about new scripts. It's about shedding what was never ours to begin with and to come back to our individual inner core. Let me come to transparency and trust, or the cultural barometers. Transparency isn't a soft skill. It's the backbone of trust, and communication is the delivery mechanism. In the Michael Page report we read, almost half of senior leaders claim they trust their company to make decisions that balance business needs with employees' well-being, although 15% report having little or no trust at all. And senior leaders increasingly value transparency in decision-making, particularly when it comes to company challenges and financial performance. But this is where the distortion becomes dangerous. Executives perceive higher levels of transparency than their wider workforce. The gap reveals that communication is vertical. It's not systemic. It's not across. Trust that only exists at the top isn't trust. It's containment. It may stabilize short term, but it erodes cohesion over time. When trust is hoarded in boardrooms and not infused across the teams, what you have is not alignment, it's a fenced culture. Transparency is clear, open, truthful communication, from the C-suite to the front lines. Break that clarity and everything fractures: culture, connection, credibility. For executives, trust isn't a perk. It's the foundation of performance, loyalty, and external representation. Conscious leadership answers this not with slogans, but by embedding transparency into the very rhythm of how an organization speaks, listens, and learns. No slide deck can simulate it. It must be felt and lived. Now let me be provocative. Most businesses don't have a retention problem. They have a resonance problem. You're trying to lead 2025 talent with 2005 mindsets, career ladders, performance reviews, quarterly metrics, and privileges that feel like apologies. You cannot AI your way out of cultural incoherence. Technology can streamline operations and optimize performance outputs. But tech is blind to meaning. It cannot sense morale, build trust, or cultivate belonging. You can digitize your onboarding. You can gamify your productivity metrics. But if your culture doesn't resonate at the level of human energy, none of it matters. You'll still lose your top talent to burnout, boredom, or better alignment in different companies, different positions. Executives are no longer impressed by upgraded tech stacks. They're asking, does this place make me feel alive? Or does it just make me perform better? When culture becomes compliance, no compensation package can plug the leak. When connection is automated, belonging breaks. We need a shift from efficiency culture to energetic coherence, where people don't just function, they resonate. Executives don't want jobs. They want roles that feel like soul work, positions that honor their deepest capacities, not just their technical expertise. And resonance is the differentiator. That's why conscious leadership is not just relevant, it's a must. It's the only model that speaks their language. It tunes into the energetic undercurrent of executive engagement and prioritizes true alignment over performative compliance. It's no more role play. Executives crave spaces where their action reflects their essence. Transparency as an organizational muscle, not just a message. This isn't built through annual reports. It's lived in daily candor and courageous conversations. Leadership as energetic resonance, not positional power. Influence flows from coherence, not hierarchy. Purpose as strategy, not just one more slogan. No more values on the wall that don't show up in behavior. Personal evolution embedded into professional growth. If the role doesn't grow the person will outgrow the role. Now where it gets ironic, it's even Michael Page, the very publisher of this traditional leadership report, has a section on the executive website titled Conscious Leadership. But from my perspective, what they describe is not consciousness, it's upskilling. It's another list of competencies, another checklist of behaviors. It's about learning more, but not about becoming more. There is no introspection into the individual's core, no revelation of their energetic fingerprint, no resonance with who they are. Is that enough to call it consciousness? I don't think so. But hey, who am I, right? Companies that win the trust of future leaders won't rely on frameworks. They'll create frequency-aligned environments. Executives are asking, can I be fully myself here? Can I grow here? Can I trust this place? If the answer isn't a full body yes, they're out. Quietly, quickly, and they won't come back. Organizations that thrive won't be those with the best benefits. They'll be those with the clearest energetic signal. Companies that don't just promise alignment, but live it. Live it through every conversation, policy, and presence. And that's not HR work, that's consciousness work. That's leadership redefined. So you might ask yourself, where am I on my leadership consciousness journey? And that's not just a useful question, it's, for me, the starting point for real transformation. To help leaders navigate this, I created the Nexus Ascension Path. It's a dynamic diagnostic model that blends the precision of human design, the business applications of BG5 and OC16, the language clarity of NLP, and the insights of quantum physics, with over 25 years of real-world corporate leadership experience that I have. And why Nexus? Because the word resonates deeply with my mission, placing the human being at the center of business transformation. Nexus means intersection, interconnection, and resonance, and that's exactly what we need. No more fragmented, checkbox-driven leadership development, but wholeness, energy, and alignment. I've developed the Nexus Ascension Path not to give leaders a new script, but to help them uncover the signal they are already carrying within themselves. It isn't about adopting new techniques. It's about activating your deeper truth. Executives today aren't leaving because they are disengaged. They are leaving because they become awake. They see the dissonance. They feel the misalignment. They refuse to pretend. Leadership is no longer a role. It's a resonance. So ask yourself, is your presence magnetic or performative? Are you building from alignment or fighting the system you are in? Is your leadership signal activating people or exhausting them? The future of leadership belongs to those who lead from wholeness, not from performance. Thank you for tuning in. Until the next time, stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose from the inside out. Thank you for listening to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. Look forward to the next episode to come, and stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose. Until the next time, bye.